Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are really immersing ourselves in what has to be one of the most dramatically volatile weeks Salem has ever faced. Just intense.
Absolutely. We're looking at a whole stack of spoilers, transcripts, information concerning the events of late May and then leading right into early June.
Yeah, a period of just incredible emotional whiplash for everyone involved. We're exploring this simultaneous convergence of absolute devastation and, well, an unexpected, almost unbelievable miracle.
That really is the core conflict, isn't it? For you, the listener, think of this as your shortcut to understanding this pivotal week. It's a time where the town is gathering for a final, really tragic loss, only to simultaneously experience this incredible rebirth. We're tracking the major characters, the ones forced into action by this dual crisis.
Right. We're covering the last heroic act of a true Salem legend, the really complex legal chess game that's playing out.
And the surprise recovery of another,
Yeah.
incredibly beloved figure. It's a lot.
It really is. So our mission today is to extract these intersecting storylines, focusing on that week of June 2nd through the 6th. We need to follow the thread from those boardroom battles, EJ and Xander, right through to the death of John Black.
Yeah.
And then the miracle awakening of Bo Brady. It's this period just defined by miracle and loss. Salem is forced to navigate this profound grief while almost secretly celebrating life being brought back from the absolute brink.
And, to really understand the weight of that emotional convergence, that paradox, we first have to kind of dissect the calculated high-stakes drama that's at the stage. This is happening in the preceding days, specifically around May 28th and 29th.
Okay.
And the central nervous system, really, of all this pre-funeral drama is the ongoing, very emotionally charged investigation into Philip Kyriakis' assault.
Right. And leading that charge is DA Bill Black. It's really clear from the sources she is intensely focused on getting an arrest in this case, like laser focused.
And it's crucial to grasp, like you said, this isn't just some standard criminal inquiry for Bell. Not at all.
No. She and Philip, they share this really complicated personal history. That past relationship, the fact that he was once such a central figure in her life. It seems to be driving her motivation for justice beyond just, typical prosecutorial zeal.
Yeah.
She wants the perpetrator caught, and she wants it now.
And that intensity, it's definitely being fueled by Philip's mother, Kate Roberts. Kate is described as being just absolutely unshakably certain
Yeah, I saw that.
that Xander Cook is the one who put her son in that hospital bed.
And the sources confirm.
Our sources confirm Kate's conviction is 100% correct. Xander did assault Philip. There's zero doubt in Kate's mind, or, in the reality of the storyline about his guilt. She's locked on to him.
Okay. So to build her case, Bell still have to work within the lines of the law, right? She needs concrete evidence, testimony.
Exactly. So she circles back to Alex Kyriakis. He's got that unique vantage point, having worked closely with both Xander and Philip.
Right. He's caught in the middle.
Completely. Bell questions him, trying to gauge the relationship dynamics leading up to the assault. She's basically trying to confirm Xander's capability, his motive, build that narrative for the arrest.
But this is where it gets really messy, ethically speaking.
Oh, yeah. This is where the ethical tightrope walking begins. Because this investigation isn't just about Xander's potential guilt. It's about what Bell is actively choosing to hide.
Okay, what's she hiding?
Bell is sitting on a major secret, a huge one, that creates this massive information imbalance. She knows that Philip, the victim, perpetuated serious fraud.
Wow. Okay. So the victim committed a crime himself.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And this knowledge could fundamentally change the entire investigation, maybe even offer a motive other than just pure malice from Xander. But she is intentionally withholding it. She's not telling Jada Hunter. She's not telling anyone in law enforcement.
And why? Why keep that under wraps?
This is the critical insight we really need to pull out for you, the listener. Bell's prosecutorial discretion is being seriously tested by her personal loyalty, her history with Philip. She's unwilling to use or share that fraud information because she desperately fears that if or when Philip wakes up, he'll be immediately arrested. He'll go straight to jail.
So she's consciously protecting the unconscious victim from prosecution for his own crimes.
Exactly. It puts Bell in this near impossible ethical position, right? Choosing loyalty to a victim over immediate full justice. But it also puts Alex in an absolutely agonizing bind.
How so for Alex?
Well, think about it. If Alex tells Bell everything he knows about the motivation behind the fight, maybe something related to the fraud, it could potentially help clear Xander or at least mitigate the situation. But
But it would simultaneously send his own cousin, Philip, straight to jail the second he opens his eyes.
nailed it. He's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. Protecting Xander means condemning Philip. It's brutal.
Wow. Okay, so this difficult legal dance is happening, but there's more going on, right? There's a corporate battle, too.
Oh, absolutely. This is all taking place against the backdrop of an equally high-stakes corporate battle. On Thursday, May 29th, the control of University Hospital is literally up for grabs.
And the contenders are?
E.J. DiMera and Xander Cook, both presenting their pitches to the hospital board on the same day.
Classic Salem power clash. How are their approaches different?
Very different. E.J. DiMera, as you'd expect, prefers to wield solitary influence. He pitches to buy the facility purely as an individual investor. He's relying on his massive personal wealth, his established family name, the DiMera influence in Salem. It's a pitch rooted entirely in personal power.
Okay, the lone wolf approach. What about Xander?
Xander takes the opposite tack. He's leveraging combined corporate brute force. His pitch is built on bringing together the massive buying power of both Titan Industries and DiMera Enterprises.
Woo, Titan and DiMera, that sounds formidable. A joint venture.
Exactly. And at first glance, it looks incredibly compelling, financially very sound, a powerhouse combination.
So how's the board reacting? Any insights there? Particularly Kayla, she's got ties to the hospital.
Yeah, the initial reaction seemed to suggest some internal conflict among the board members, and specifically with Kayla Brady. Apparently, initially, she was actually hoping Xander would win out over EJ, maybe saw him as the lesser of two evils, or perhaps thought the joint venture offered more stability.
Okay.
But the sources suggest that after hearing both candidates actually lay out their plans, their visions, Kayla might end up disliking both of them equally.
Huh. Why the change?
Well, maybe they both represent a kind of corporate takeover that just doesn't sit right with her. Someone who's dedicated to the hospital's, community-focused mission. Both EJ's personal empire building and the Titan DiMera conglomerate might feel threatening to that.
That makes sense. Two different flavors of corporate control, neither ideal from her perspective.
Exactly. But ultimately, the outcome of this corporate contest isn't decided by the merit of the proposals, or even Kayla's feelings.
No. What decides it then?
It's decided by the swift intersection of justice. Or, well, Kate's version of justice. Belle, having wrestled with her conscience, probably pressured by Kate, and now armed with whatever final pieces of testimony she squeezed out of Alex, she gives the go-ahead.
The go-ahead for you.
She takes the information she has to Jada Hunter, effectively greenlighting Xander's immediate arrest for the assault on Philip.
Oh, wow. Right then.
Right then. And this is the dramatic pivot point. Xander is apprehended right there at University Hospital, literally moments after completing his big pitch to the board.
You're kidding. Jada just walks in.
Jada Hunter slaps the cuffs on him for Philip's assault. Imagine the scene, turning a potential multi-million-dollar corporate triumph into immediate incarceration right in the hospital corridors.
That's stunning. Corporate strategy just completely undone by an act of violent revenge catching up to him.
Precisely. And that single arrest, that public takedown, instantly clears the path. The hospital deal becomes a default win for E.J. DiMera. No contest left.
So EJ gets the hospital because Xander gets arrested. Irony much.
Peak Salem irony. Okay, so shifting away from the jail cells and the boardrooms for a minute, we really need to dive deeper into the immense family tension that's just simmering beneath the surface. This is a huge part of this week's emotional tapestry.
Right, because it's not just about business and crime. Let's talk about Johnny Depp. The sources say he's under incredible stress.
It's a truly staggering, accumulating stress load he's carrying. Think about it. First, there's the immediate, overwhelming uncertainty surrounding his Grandpa John's critical condition. That alone is huge.
Of course. That's weighing on everyone.
But layered on top of that, he's still wrestling with the massive emotional fallout from the fact that he, not long ago, actually held a gun on his own father, EJ. In a fit of rage and misunderstanding, sure, but it happened.
Yeah, that trauma hasn't just vanished. That's got to haunt him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then add to that just general marital stress. Though thankfully, the sources note Chanel Dupree is a total bedrock for him. She's described as being fully supportive during this whole crisis.
That's good. He needs that. But even with her support.
He feels increasingly isolated, just crushed by the sheer weight of all these events hitting him at once. John dying, the EJ incident. It's an overload.
And that trauma, the gun incident with EJ, it's not staying buried, is it?
Not a chance. Not with Kristen DiMera around. It's immediately being weaponized.
By Kristen. How?
So we know Rachel, Kristen's daughter, apparently saw EJ arguing with Johnny, and crucially, She witnessed Johnny having the gun. Just saw it.
Oh boy, an innocent kid sees something explosive.
Exactly. And Kristen takes this innocent observation from her daughter and immediately uses it to corner EJ, like pounces on it.
What's her angle? What does she want?
The expectation, based on the sources, is that Kristen confronts EJ, essentially accusing him of protecting Johnny at all costs. Her narrative is likely, you know Johnny did this, maybe even shot you, and you're covering for him. She believes EJ is trying to sweep Johnny's dangerous actions under the rug.
Okay, classic Kristen manipulation. But what's fascinating, you mentioned EJ's own suspicion.
Right. And this is where the real tension lies. The incredible irony is that EJ is operating under the secret suspicion that his own son might actually be the one who shot him. He doesn't know for sure. His memory is patchy, but the suspicion is there.
So Kristen is accusing him of protecting Johnny, while EJ is secretly terrified Johnny might be guilty.
Exactly. It creates this huge internal contradiction for EJ. He's being forced into this protective father role by Kristen's accusations while simultaneously grappling with the horrifying possibility that she might inadvertently be right about Johnny's involvement. That confrontation is going to be explosive, dredging up every bit of family distrust between them.
Wow. Okay. And there's more Kristen drama brewing, isn't there? Something with Brady.
Yes, unfortunately. The sources reveal another really sad, emotionally charged confrontation brewing between Brady Black and Kristen. Apparently, Brady asks Kristen for something specific involving their daughter, Rachel.
And she refuses.
Flatly refuses. The source doesn't explicitly state what Brady asks for. Kristen keeps that bit secret, naturally.
But there's speculation.
The strong speculation, based on the context of John's imminent death, is that Brady desperately wants Rachel to see John Black one last time, to say goodbye.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. A simple human request.
A child saying goodbye to a beloved family elder, likely a grandfather figure in her life too, through John's connection to Brady, and denied by Kristen. Probably out of pure spite or leverage or control. Who knows with her?
It just adds another layer of unnecessary cruelty and sadness to a week already choked with impending grief, doesn't it? Really highlights Kristen's unwavering focus on her own demands, her own power plays, even when faced with something as profound as death.
It really does. Okay, so as Friday, May 30th rolls around, the corporate drama kind of pauses. The hospital deal is settled by default. Xander's in jail. And the atmosphere shifts entirely. It becomes all about the anticipation of loss.
This is when people start coming back.
Exactly. Major characters start flying back into Salem, knowing that John Black's fate is pretty much sealed. He's described as a gathering storm of family returns.
Who are the key figures coming back first?
We see a significant wave of beloved characters returning specifically to mourn and offer comfort, especially to Marlena and the immediate family. Christy Clark is back as Carrie Brady.
Carrie. Right. Her connection to John is complicated but deep.
Very deep. Her return is specifically noted as being to comfort Marlena Evans, which speaks volumes about their bond. And remember, for that brief, complicated time in the past, John believed he was Roman Brady.
Making him Carrie's father in his mind and hers for a while.
Exactly. That shared complex history ensures her grief is deeply personal. Her presence is meant to be a profound comfort to Marlena, who's about to face the unimaginable loss of her soulmate.
And it's not just Carrie, right? More family arriving.
Oh yeah, the family continues to pour in. We also see the return of Chandler Massey as Will Horton. He's back for 2 intense days, landing right at the end of that week.
Will's back, and Eric.
Greg Vaughn also returns as Eric Brady. These returns are happening literally just as John's life is expected to end. It sets up what will likely be a devastating cliffhanger moment on that Friday, May 30th.
God, yeah. Leading into the funeral week.
Precisely. It establishes the massive emotional scale required for the funeral services the following week. And it's noted that Will's daughter, Ariana Horton, is actually already back in town.
Ariana's back. Okay. And that causes its own issues, doesn't it?
It precipitates a whole secondary plot we need to unpack, yes. Because even with the family converging from all corners and everyone waiting anxiously for news on John, these secondary personal conflicts are inescapable. They don't just pause.
Real life, even in Salem. So Will and Gabi, what's the issue with Ariana?
The source material details a pretty significant conversation we can expect between Will Horton and Gabi Hernandez regarding their daughter.
Uh-oh. What did Ariana do?
This is classic parental friction, colliding head-on with teenage rebellion. Apparently, Ariana has been causing some trouble. The source material is very specific, almost colorful, noting that she snuck out to, and I'm quoting here, shag a stranger.
Whoa. Okay, that's direct.
Very direct. And then she compounded that mistake by lying directly to her mother Gabi's face when Gabi confronted her about it.
Oh, Gabi's not going to like that. Lying to her face after that.
Exactly. This situation is loaded. Gabi is notoriously protective,
Yeah.
right? The idea of her teenage daughter sneaking out to meet some random person, then brazenly lying about it, that is bound to trigger a massive, possibly nuclear maternal reaction.
And Will, how does he fit in? He's just arrived.
Well, Will, who's often traveling, might try to adopt a slightly more detached or maybe understanding approach.
Yeah.
Perhaps focus on the lying more than the act itself. Whatever his stance, it's almost guaranteed to clash with Gabi's likely instinct to lock Ariana down and throw away the key.
So they have this serious fundamental parenting issue to hash out discipline, trust, safety, while simultaneously dealing with the looming death of a major family figure, John Black.
It perfectly highlights how personal dramas rarely pause for the big tragedies, doesn't it? Life keeps happening messily in the background.
Definitely. Okay, any other side dramas or resentments bubbling up?
We also get some key moments reinforcing long-standing resentments within the wider Salem community. For instance, Julie Williams catches up with Maggie Horton-Kiriakis.
Okay, Julie and Maggie, what are they dealing with?
Both are dealing with their own complex emotional fallout. Maggie, first off, is described as being absolutely furious at Xander.
Understandable, given he assaulted her son, Philip.
Yes, but it's not just the assault. She also has the incredibly sad and awkward task of relaying the news to people, probably Julie included, that Sarah Horton and Xander have officially split up because of all this.
Oh, right, that adds another layer. It's not just her son, it's Sarah's relationship too.
Exactly. The situation is incredibly messy for Maggie. The man she cares for, Victor's nephew, is now in jail for assaulting her son, and that whole situation has apparently broken up her other son, Mickey's daughter's relationship. It's personal, corporate, and familial chaos all wrapped into one for her.
What a mess. And Julie, what's her angle? Still mad at Doug.
And we mustn't forget Julie Williams. Amidst all this community grief and drama, the sources make a point to mention she is maintaining her steady, ongoing fury at her husband, Doug Williams.
Still, even with John dying.
Apparently so. It's an interesting little touchstone, maybe a reminder that while the community rallies together for someone like John, those deep-seated personal relationship fractures remain stubbornly in place for some. Grief doesn't magically heal everything.
True enough. Okay, let's briefly circle back to the legal side. Kate Roberts, she wanted Xander arrested. Does she get that confirmation?
Yes. Kate finally gets the definitive resolution she was pushing Belle so hard for. She has a serious chat with Roman, likely at the pub, confirming Xander's arrest for assaulting Philip.
And she's satisfied.
The source makes it crystal clear. Kate never once doubted Xander was the perpetrator. Not for a second. And yes, she is satisfied. The immediate objective, securing justice for what she sees as justice for her son, has been achieved. Xander's behind bars.
Okay. And as we discussed, that arrest has immediate consequences for the hospital deal.
Correct. As anticipated, that arrest immediately resolves the high-stakes hospital takeover. E.J. DeMera is confirmed by insiders to secure the university hospital deal. He wins by default. Pure and simple.
Because Xander, his only real corporate rival for it, is now sitting in the Salem PD jail.
Precisely. E.J. is understandably happy about this. It's a significant corporate victory for him, expanding his influence. Xander, meanwhile, while incarcerated, is described interestingly as merely being bummed about losing the deal.
Just bummed. That seems kind of low-key for losing a massive corporate prize like University Hospital, especially losing it to EJ.
It does sound a bit understated, doesn't it? And this raises a really important point about Xander's deeper motivation throughout that whole corporate endeavor.
What do you mean?
While he definitely wanted the prestige and maybe the power that came with the hospital, the source material is very clear. His primary focus and that entire corporate play wasn't really profit or beating EJ.
It wasn't. What was it then?
It was securing the necessary resources, specifically the experimental medication needed to save Bo Brady's life.
Ah, the miracle drug. That was tied to the hospital resources.
Apparently so. His motivation was, at its core, altruistic, or at least family-driven. It was all about the desperate need to save Bo. So while Xander is now languishing in jail, probably feeling sorry for himself, and his rival EJ has secured the asset.
Xander actually achieved his bigger, more humanitarian goal, getting the drug for Bo.
Exactly. He might have lost the battle for the hospital building, but he won the war for Bo's life, in a way. This juxtaposition perfectly sets up the ultimate paradox of the coming week. Corporate loss somehow enabled personal salvation.
Wow, okay, that adds a whole new dimension to his arrest. So now let's get into it. The core week of drama, June 2nd through the 6th. How does it open?
It opens, as you'd expect, under the immense weight of sorrow surrounding John Black's funeral. This service is positioned as a massive emotional event for Salem, bringing even more beloved figures back to town to pay their respects.
More returns. Who else is coming for the funeral itself?
The list keeps growing, which really underscores the central role John played in that community for decades. Beyond Carrie, Eric, and Will, who arrived earlier, we see Anna DiMera and Tony DiMera returning specifically for the service.
Anna and Tony. That makes sense. Their history with John and Marlena is long and complicated, too.
Very. And most critically, Sammy Brady is back in town.
Sammy's back. Okay, that's huge. She's there to mourn her stepfather.
And provide that essential, fiery support to her mother, Marlena. Sammy's presence is always significant, isn't it?
Always. Her relationship with John, it's always been complex. Shifting from, rebellious, contentious stepdaughter in the early days to becoming a real familial ally over the decades.
Absolutely. Her return signifies the enduring depth of her connection to the family structure that John, alongside Marlena, helped create and sustain. She wouldn't miss this.
And the funeral service itself, what's the tone?
It's expected to be incredibly moving, incredibly sad, marked by what the sources describe as an incredible outpouring of love.
Who are the key mourners we see gathered around Marlena?
The sources list Kayla and Steve Johnson, naturally, Belle and Sean Brady, Brady Black, Julie Williams, many others. It reflects a true assembly of the core Salem families, all there to support Marlena and honor John.
It sounds like it's going to be profoundly emotional on screen.
And what gives this section an even more profound, almost meta depth, according to some behind-the-scenes notes we have access to, is the raw emotion reportedly present during filming. The actors were apparently bringing very real-life grief to these moments.
Why? What was happening off-screen?
Because Drake Hudgeston, the actor who has played John Black for so long, was actually alive but very, very sick when these funeral scenes were filmed.
Oh my God, seriously. They filmed his character's funeral while he was genuinely ill.
Apparently so. Think about the professional and personal challenge of that. Acting out the funeral of a beloved colleague, a friend, someone you've worked with for years, while he is still alive but fighting a serious illness.
That's unbelievably heavy. It adds incredible gravity to those on-screen moments then. It ensures the sadness we'll see will feel completely authentic, not just manufactured soap opera tears.
Exactly. We can expect the episode or episodes covering the funeral to really slow down, focusing on powerful flashbacks, shared memories, loved ones reflecting on the complexities, the heroism, the sheer longevity of John Black's life in Salem. It's going to be a major moment of reflection and collective memory, celebrating his legacy.
A true farewell. But then the paradox kicks in.
But then the immense sorrow is immediately dramatically countered by the central paradox, the miracle. A miracle made possible, ironically, by the deceased himself.
This connection, this is the key to understanding the magnitude of this week, isn't it?
It's everything. John Black is immediately regarded as a hero, not because of some last-minute fist fight or saving someone from a fire, but because of his final conscious act, securing that essential miracle drug for Bo Brady.
The drug Xander was also trying to get via the hospital deal.
The very same. The sources are clear. Without John's decisive action, whatever it was that got the drug moving, Bo would have never had a chance. He wouldn't have recovered from the severe sepsis that was ravaging his body. He was dying.
So John's last act was literally life-saving for Bo.
Life-giving even. And initially, remember, everyone's focus was much narrower. They were just desperately hoping Bo would somehow survive the sepsis itself, which seemed like a long shot.
Right. The idea of him actually emerging from the coma seemed like a secondary, almost impossible wish.
Exactly. But the timeline here is accelerated dramatically. Almost immediately following John's death, and presumably the administration of the drug John secured, things change fast.
How fast?
Hope and Sierra Brady will soon be absolutely thrilled to share the incredible news. Bo has survived the sepsis. The immediate threat is gone.
Okay, that's huge news in itself, but the coma.
And then, shortly after that breakthrough, the sources confirmed the really big one. Bo will wake up. It happens as part of the overall treatment protocol, facilitated by that crucial, life-saving medication John got for him.
He wakes up. Bo Brady is awake.
The juxtaposition is just stark, isn't it? A beloved figure's final heroic act immediately directly saves another beloved figure from the brink of death. Loss enables life.
It's incredibly powerful.
So the big question then becomes,
the immense dramatic question raised by this timeline is exactly this. Will Bo be stable enough? Will he be on his feet, walking, talking, able to stand by Hope's side when she inevitably arrives back in Salem to attend John's funeral?
oh my God, imagine that scene. The town gathered in deep mourning for the man who saved Beau, only to see Beau himself, alive and recovered, maybe even walking into the church or the reception.
Can you picture the looks on people's faces? Marlena's. Hope's joy mixed with grief. It forces everyone in Salem and us as viewers to process celebration and profound grief absolutely simultaneously. It gives the entire week this undeniable, almost operatic weight.
It really does. Okay, so with the emotional climax being John's funeral and Beau's awakening, that must mean some other storylines get put on hold, right? They can't juggle everything. Exactly. Several critical subplots must necessarily be deferred. The sources confirm these storylines are intentionally paused, put on the back burner, to allow the narrative focus to remain squarely on that central paradox of loss and miracle.
Makes sense. So what gets paused, Philip? For starters.
First and foremost, yeah. We have to talk about the source of all that preceding legal drama. Philip Kyriakis himself. Kate's son remains unconscious.
Still out cold through all of this.
Still out cold.
Ah.
And he's expected to stay that way for at least another week, maybe even 2 weeks more, according to the timeline leaks. His recovery and the subsequent legal resolution for him and Xander takes a complete backseat until after the emotional services for John are concluded. His storyline just has to wait.
Okay, Philip's on hold. What else? EJ's memory.
The other major deferred subplot revolves around EJ DiMera and his frustratingly missing memories from the night he was shot. He still hasn't recovered all the crucial details of who shot him and why.
So even though he got his corporate win with the hospital.
Right. Even as he's celebrating that corporate victory, his personal history, that critical piece of his recent past, remains fractured, which has to be maddening for him.
And what's supposed to trigger those memories eventually? The sources hinted at something?
The upcoming, inevitably intense confrontation with Kristen? Remember, she now knows via Rachel that Johnny had a gun during that argument with EJ.
Right. She's going to use that against him.
Exactly. That emotional shock, that accusation, potentially layered with EJ's own buried fears about Johnny. That's expected to be the key trigger. It could finally jog his memories loose about the actual details of that night. Who was really there, what really happened.
But not yet.
But not yet. The sources make it clear. This critical memory recovery will also wait. It has to wait until after the immediate emotional upheaval of John's passing and funeral subsides. The story, like the characters, needs space to breathe after the intensity of the funeral week.
Okay. So some things are paused, but is there any sense of future resolution, like a silver lining hinted at? Especially for Xander, who's taking the fall right now.
Ah, yes. There is a crucial silver lining hidden in the aftermath. A significant, perhaps surprising dramatic plot twist awaiting the man who inadvertently secured EJ's corporate victory by getting arrested. Xander Cook, currently cooling his heels in the Salem jail.
Okay. What happens for Xander? Does he stay locked up?
The sources provide a very clear indication of his future post-funeral. When Philip Kyriakis finally wakes up,
Yeah. What does Philip do? Press charges? Testify against him?
he won't be seeking vengeance. He won't be demanding further justice against Xander. This is a massive shift.
Really? After being beaten nearly to death?
Our insider confirms quite explicitly that Philip will actually be a big help to Xander upon waking. And crucially, the leak states Philip will not be pressing charges against him for the assault.
Wow, okay. That's unexpected. Why the change of heart? Does Philip remember why they fought?
The implication is that, yes, he probably remembers the context, maybe feels some responsibility, or perhaps the near-death experience gives him perspective. Instead of retribution, the ultimate resolution, according to these leaks, sees Philip actively making amends to Xander.
Making amends.
How? It's suggested the two brothers, or half-brothers, technically will actually rebuild their relationship. A relationship that has been fraught with resentment, jealousy, business rivalry, romantic rivalry, everything, for years.
So this violent crime somehow leads to reconciliation between Philip and Xander?
Astonishingly, yes. It turns a story that started with fraud and violent assault into one of surprising familial reconciliation and forgiveness.
That creates just a fascinating loop, doesn't it? A rich paradox.
It really does. It ties the entire corporate and legal storyline into this neat, ironic knot. Think about it. Xander's arrest, which happened because he assaulted Philip, directly ensured that his rival, EJ, got control of University Hospital.
Right, cause and effect.
But that very arrest was based on an act of violence, whose victim, Philip, will eventually forgive him and refuse to press charges.
So Xander's brief stint in jail secured a major corporate win for EJ, but the crime itself ultimately fosters brotherhood and healing between the two Kyriakis cousins involved.
Exactly. It's almost like a strange, twisted victory for familial bonds in the end, even though it was achieved through legal misdirection, hidden fraud, and brutal physical violence along the way. It's incredibly layered.
Wow. Okay, so if we try to tie all these threads together, connect them to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
this whole period, late May through early June, it feels like a perfect reflection of how sacrifice, knowledge, and these deep personal bonds ultimately transcend corporate power or legal battles in Salem.
I think that's a great way to put it. We started this whole sequence with, cold, calculated legal maneuvering, corporate presentations, people trying to outwit each other for money and control.
Yeah, the hospital deal, Bell's investigation.
And we ended up with this grand shared tragedy, John's death, which in turn enabled a profound, almost spiritual, personal miracle, Beau's recovery.
And John's role is central to that shift.
Absolutely. John Black's final heroic act, using his knowledge, his connections, whatever it took to secure those essential resources, that drug directly enabled the miracle of Beau's recovery, the knowledge he acted upon, and the ultimate sacrifice he made in the process. It proves that personal bonds, heroic choices, they are the most defining elements in this community. They ultimately overshadow the significance of who owns a hospital, or the temporary outcome of a jail stint, or who remembers what about a past crime.
It puts the corporate stuff in perspective, definitely. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting, maybe even philosophical thinking ahead. John Black's death was the catalyst. It wasn't just a tragedy. It was the necessary means by which the drug was delivered and Beau was saved.
A direct consequence. One life ends, another is renewed because of the first one's actions.
So, if Beau is awake, if he's present, maybe even walking and talking at John's funeral, knowing or quickly learning that he owes his life directly to the man everyone is mourning, how does that change him? How will the heroic act of John, this profound sacrifice and loss, influence Beau's immediate actions, his future perspective on life?
That's the huge question hanging over everything, isn't it? It raises this incredibly important point for you, the listener, to consider as you watch this unfold. What is the weight of that moral debt Beau wakes up with?
Knowing the price of his life was John's own.
Exactly. How does that burden of heroic sacrifice, that knowledge that his survival is inextricably linked to John's death, redefine his purpose, his relationships, his entire outlook going forward? Does it make him cherish life more? Does it make him feel obligated to live a certain way?
So much to think about there. The ripple effects of John's final act could shape Beau's story for years to come.
It absolutely could. It's a powerful setup.
Well, that is definitely something heavy to mull over as these incredibly emotional episodes unfold. Thank you for taking this really intense deep dive with us today.
Always a pleasure. We'll catch you next time.